Hey guys, welcome back to Carib 21, wherever in the Caribbean or in the diaspora you're watching from. So today I want to continue the conversation, the trending topic for this week, and it's about the Cuban medical program and the threat from the US President Donald Trump and his administration to remove visas, to have a visa restriction on political officials from the Caribbean islands that engage in this program. And today in particular, I want to talk about the response from Jamaica and Guyana and how people in the Caribbean, they're not satisfied with Jamaica and Guyana's reaction to this threat from Donald Trump. So, let's talk about it. Okay, so the online space in the Caribbean is buzzing, and this is the trending topic this week in the Caribbean about the Cuban medical program, and people talking about the response from the different leaders in the Caribbean. In particular, one of the first response was from the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, and Ralph Gonsalves speaking up about how he's willing to give up his visa and his wife is willing to give up her visa also, but they are not going to bow out of the program, because if they are not able to work with the Cuban doctors, then the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in particular people that are on dialysis, they could end up dying. So that was one of the first strong response coming out of the Caribbean. The second one was from the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Keith Raleigh, and Keith Raleigh came out and said, look, he is willing, he just came from the United States of America, but if he never goes back, that is okay. And in his response, there are a lot of people, I think, in Trinidad that was pushing back, saying that, look, you know, the Prime Minister is on his way out. It's evident that, you know, a few months ago he said that I'm not going to be running for re-election. So he can say anything because he's not running for re-election. So that was some response coming from people in Trinidad and Tobago. And then the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, she came out strong and she responded and said, look, there's no Cuban doctors in Barbados at the moment, but she is willing to stand in the front of the line to give up her visa for this program, because during the pandemic, the people of Barbados would not have made it without the Cuban doctors. So that was a few of the strong response, and other Caribbean islands respond, but not in such a strong way. But what people are really talking about online is about their disappointment in how the Prime Minister, the Jamaican officials, the response and the silence of the Prime Minister of Jamaica. And they're also talking about a similar response when it comes on to Guyana. They're not hearing from President Ali. So in Jamaica, the Foreign Affairs Minister responded. The Foreign Affairs Minister of Jamaica, Kamina Johnson-Smith, she responded in an article this week talking about the program, the medical program, the Cuban medical program, and how Jamaica greatly benefited from it. In that article, she went on to say that there are currently 400 medical professionals in Jamaica from that program, but she did not go further in terms of saying that, like, look, they cannot do without these doctors, and that they will be willing to go all the way in terms of giving up their visas for this program. You know, they did not go that far. Here at Carib 21, I'm on a mission to showcase the vibrant culture and the breathtaking beauty of the Caribbean while showcasing our culture and what is trending. If you want to support me on this mission, please subscribe. And if you also want to support, you can hit the comment section and buy me a cup of coffee. In order to buy me a cup of coffee, you can follow these instructions. Just click more. You will see the link to buy me a cup of coffee. Click the link. You can purchase 1 or 2 cups of coffee, and you'll be helping me to fulfill this mission. Thank you. And here's a response from Guyana, and the Vice President, not President Ali, the Vice President of Guyana came out and responded yesterday talking about how Guyana has greatly benefited from this program over the years, and that CARICOM is engaging with the Trump administration, and that he's confident that something will work out. But again, he did not go as hard as, you know, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, and Trinidad and Tobago. So people online, are furious, like why the Caribbean, the islands, Jamaica that benefited the most and Guyana that benefited the most. Why are these two nations not standing up the same way we see like Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, and some of the other prime ministers that came out? And people are worried that, look, if the Caribbean don't stand up united, that this program is going to fall apart. And what is going to be the repercussion of this program falling apart? Because, talking to people in Jamaica since this news broke, a lot of people are worried and saying that they believe that hundreds of people are going to die if Jamaica have to send back these 400 doctors and these 400 medical practitioners. So that is worrisome, because what we are seeing so far is, we don't know the intricate details, but it just seemed like the Trump administration is saying that, look, you need to cut ties with this program immediately, but there's nothing about replacing these doctors, because replacing 400 medical practitioners in Jamaica is going to be very difficult. And there are people online that are saying that, look, why can't the Caribbean produce their own doctors and their own nurses? But what they don't realize is that we do. There are a lot of nurses and doctors coming out of Jamaica. There are a lot of nurses and doctors coming out of Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But unfortunately, a lot of these doctors, they are taken away from the Caribbean by the Americans. And that is just the reality. Americans don't really produce a lot of, especially nurses. For anyone who lives in America or Canada, when you go to the doctor, 90% of the nurses that will attend to you, they are not Americans and they are not Canadians. They are from somewhere in the Caribbean, somewhere in the Philippines, doctors from India, and that is just the reality. So my thing is, what is the end game? What is the purpose of trying to force the Caribbean islands to remove these medical profession? Is the Trump administration ready to help the Caribbean islands to replenish, to get nurses and medical profession to fill these vacant spots? That is one of my questions. And what is really the end game? What is the end game for Cuba? Is it that they want Cuba to have a free and fair election? Is that the case? And is it the case that America wants to appoint the new president or leader of Cuba?
The United States government is cracking down on Cuban medical missions across the world, accusing Cuba of labor exploitation and threatening to revoke visas of foreign government officials involved in Cuba's labor export program. General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party Civic and the sitting Vice President Barry Jagdeo says CARICOM is engaging the Trump administration on the issue.
I can assure you that there is a regional as well as national engagement with the U.S. State Department on these matters.
The United States' position is that the labor programs run by the Cuban government is enriching the Cuban regime. The U.S. also argued that those involved are complicit in the exploitation and forced labor of Cuban workers. Guyana's vice president believes that Cuban professionals are invaluable to Guyana's healthcare system.
We want to have Cuban professionals work in our health system. They have been an invaluable support to our health system, but we also want to ensure that they have free choice.
The new U.S. policy prompted several Caribbean leaders to denounce the plans, stressing the importance of Cuban medical staff working across the region. Some Caribbean leaders have reportedly said they would forego their visas in a staunch resistance to the new U.S. policy. Is Guyana prepared to do the same?
We don't do diplomacy in the public. And I believe we have a strong engagement with the Trump administration and with the State Department that would allow this matter to be resolved to the satisfaction of all parties.
Guyana has, for decades, benefited significantly from the Cuban scholarship program, especially in training of doctors and also the provision of members of the Cuban Medical Brigade. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
And if that's the case, and America is saying that, look, we want Cuba, the government of Cuba, to have a free and fair election. We want different parties to be formed and to come out and to form the next government. And we want to be a part of that process. I think that would be a level of hypocrisy. Not to say that the Cuban should not have free and fair election, but why should America be a part of that process when America over the past 20 years have accused Russia, have accused China for meddling in their election and vowed to retaliate to both China and Russia for sending out advertisement for a certain party in American politics, and pretty much saying that, look, America is a sovereign nation and America's outside forces like Russia and China should not try to involve themselves in the American electoral process. How is it different then? How is it different? And I believe that it is fair to want Cuba to have a free and fair election, but what is the process? What is the end game? Are they saying that, look, we are willing to lift this embargo on Cuba. We are willing to open up trade, not just to America, but to the world in exchange for an election. I believe that it is time the American government should come out and say, look, this is what we want. We believe that this is reasonable for Cuba to have a free and fair election. And we want a step-by-step, like if you do this, we will lift the embargo. But over the years, why people are very skeptical is because we have seen over the past 100 years that America has got involved in politics in Haiti in terms of they want a particular leader in Haiti. And we saw the result of that. Haiti is now pretty much a disaster, like falling apart every day. We saw the same process in Venezuela where America, they wanted a particular leader in Venezuela. That leader was appointed to the Venezuelan government. We see Venezuela now falling apart. So what is the end game? Every political party that we see, the American leadership that want to install these leaders, political leaders in these different nations, in these different islands, now we see chaos. We see chaos in Venezuela. We see chaos in Haiti. And the same thing was done in Jamaica in the 1980s when it was alleged that the American government wanted a certain political party in power and they would do anything for that to happen. So that is my question. What is the end game? And is it fair that America should determine the leaders in the Caribbean? Sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.